Hey guys, welcome to Delta Sparks Pod, episode 4. I am Andy.
Nope. You are Evan. I am Andie.
That's what she said. Episode 4. So, if you guys have not followed us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please go find us, click the link, subscribe. New podcasts coming out every other week.
Subscribe.
Like, rate, and subscribe. That we would greatly appreciate that, in addition to all your support here on IGTV and other platforms. I'm really excited, Andy. We have some pretty interesting characters, a double, if you will, as guests today.
I love it. I'm super excited.
So these two gentle people, they both hail from the north.
Yeah, they're my people. Yep.
Your people. So we'll introduce the first one. Okay. Chris, are you there?
Chris, come back to us.
Oh,
there he is. This is Chris. You can find him on social media at Live Free Contracting on Instagram and Live Free Contracting LTD on Facebook. Chris is from Kamloops, British Columbia, which every time I say that, I'm like, am I saying that right? Kamloops.
Yeah, the loop.
Fruit Loops, BC. Chris has been in business, his own business, for 5 years now. He is certified in construction project management with over a decade of management experience. And Chris, your fun fact is, even though you're living up in BC, you are a born and bred Chicagoan, eh?
Yeah, I like my pizza.
Chicagonite.
Yeah, the pizza, man.
I've been to Chicago a few times. I did the pizza tour.
Ooh.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, see,
and now, I know. And now we have your heterosexual life mate, your other half of you. You there, broski?
Of course I'm here.
Hey.
Ooh, there he is.
Hi, Mark.
This is Mark. Mark is from Canada as well, Edmonton, Alberta, whatever that means.
Now, Mark, are you actually from Edmonton?
I am from Spruce Grove, so I'm like 10 minutes outside of Edmonton. I never left the country till I was 19.
All right.
So I'm about as Canadian as they get.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Well, you have been doing residential framing for 12 years now.
Yep.
In addition to being just a fucking awesome dad. How many you got now? You got four and like three quarters?
Yeah,
okay.
4 3/4.
Yeah. Maybe 4 4/5.
Almost
possibly 7/8 actually. So it's
7/8.
Yeah.
Not
depending on how long
9/16?
this goes on. Yeah,
okay.
No, not 9/16 yet.
And Mark's special little info about him is his words. He is as handsome as he is funny. So I'm going to leave that there for you guys. I guess she didn't think you were too funny.
No. This is why I'm resorting to this. I'm in some need, Evan, and your call, it's just right there for me.
I will send up a little care package of maple syrup and Speedos and the unpublished episode of the Captain Canuck, because I know how much you love your Canadian superheroes.
Man, Captain Canuck, man, he's up there.
What a combo that is. What a care package.
I know, right?
Man.
Boom. So I really wanted to have you two guys on for a number of reasons, and I thought, why not have you guys on together? Interesting. Like me and Andy met on Instagram. I met you guys on Instagram. You guys met through that giveaway. I'm assuming that we did with before that.
Yep.
In person or on Instagram?
On the gram.
On the gram.
Have you guys actually met in person?
No, not yet.
Nope.
Not yet. All right.
Restrictions still everywhere, so
yeah.
The meetup's gonna happen though.
We have like one interesting connection point though.
Oh.
So
Okay.
Chris grew up with the guy who came out and started working with me when he moved out here. So we have like an actual connection point.
What a small world.
Yep.
Like
Indeed.
ET.
Yeah.
E.T.
ET. PT from
Canada's
home.
Canada
Except the thing
is
Yeah.
big.
It
we
is big.
discovered the connection point on the gram.
See, this is what I really love about this Instagram community that I didn't know existed until I started my account back in July. That there are so many people on here, and it's not a competition really. I mean, it can be. Everyone, let's be honest, everyone who has an Instagram account that's like doing tools or trade stuff, we want to be seen. We want to show off our work. We want that pat on the back. Exactly, Mark. That social attaboy, if you will.
We're at a girl, just saying.
We're at a girl. I
At a person.
apologize.
At
At
a
a
person.
person.
Yeah.
At a they.
Not a they.
But
At a
out
zit.
of that, at a zit. Ooh, ew. But
That's
out
a
of that
pronoun,
has
isn't it? Oh, whatever.
out of that has come connections that I think would never have happened and are probably stronger than some of the connections I have to people in like my quote unquote real life that I see, because it's a bond that like we're talking about things, we're relating to things, we're doing the same type of stuff in two different areas. And like, I don't have the same conversations about tools, about work, about life on the job site with the guys I work with that I have on Instagram with you guys, with Andie, with a bunch of other accounts that has really, for me, kind of bridged this gap for the pandemic that we're all kind of still sitting in.
Yeah.
So my first kind of topic question to you guys, because I thought, why not have both of you on here at the same time because of the bi-weekly lives that you're doing on Instagram, right? The like 2 to 3 hour convos. How did that
Rambles.
come about? Where was that idea from?
Chris,
So
you got this one.
I guess Mark and I kind of connected last year at some point in the year. Definitely, I think it was through Northern Boots. A lot of our big connections happened through. Sean from Northern Boots was great about that, and we got there's so many people we've branched out and connected with, and I guess that kind of stemmed into some giveaways, some fun stuff, a lot of interacting with each other. Mark and I chat every day sometimes. Like we chat all the time. Like our wives are like,
do you want to make the bromance more official?
Right? Right? Like, you know what I mean? And you kind of gain relationships. And I guess I know.
We're getting matching tattoos.
Oh no.
We're gonna get matching tramp stamps of Martina Hammers.
We haven't upgraded. Maybe that'll be the commendation of upgrading. Oh.
I'm actually thinking about getting the full diamondback rig just tattooed on my naked body.
Diamondback sues you.
You think they would sponsor that?
Depends on if you could hook and loop in it.
Maybe they would pay you not to.
Ooh, that's an even better idea.
That's probably a better
that.
branding thing.
So Instagram has allowed a lot of us to create content, to show off stuff. I mean, for me, it's really kind of upped my level in terms of like my trade professionalism of like what the work I'm doing. If I'm going to show it off, like I'm not going to put up a pipe run that looks like dog shit. You know what I mean? And if I'm filming it, I'm going to make it look good because I want to show off. Right. But Instagram has also allowed, like I just said before, is like connecting to each other. So my question is like, those Instagram lives that you're doing bi-weekly, where did that come from? What's the idea behind that? What do you hope to get out of something like that? Or have you even thought of that?
I don't know if we've thought too much about what we wanted to get out of it. Like some of it stemmed because we did a giveaway for Christmas, that 10 Days of Tradesmas thing, that we had just fun hanging out and chatting and seeing interaction from people that actually follow along with us. I thought, hey, we should, maybe do this again sometime. And then it kind of went quiet because we were a little bit burnt out from it all.
It's a lot of giveaway.
Yeah. It was a lot of giveaway. It was a lot of live. It was a lot of...
it's a lot of being on, right?
Yeah, and it was a lot of like neglecting family for a time. So that was pretty hard to do. And then it just came up that it's like, hey, should we chat? Sure. What about? I don't know.
Just hold on and hope for the best.
Pretty much.
Sort of hit live and waited for people to somehow, for whatever reason, hang out in the comments.
trolling y'all hard.
Yeah.
You know,
surprisingly, that's what I thought it would be a lot more of, and it's not actually. Like, there's a few, but it's usually people that we know that are just like, you guys are an idiot group.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Well, you just brought up a really interesting topic, like the amount of time spent during that Tradesmas giveaway that we were all a part of. You, me, and Chris. Andie wasn't, but maybe she will be next year.
Yeah, I don't know.
She entered.
I did.
You know, you talked about like kind of the stress it puts on the relationship with your wife or your family.
Yeah, neglecting family, as you were saying,
yeah,
as you put it.
I definitely ran into that with my wife, you know, early on. When I started this, like I was fully consumed and enveloped in this community, because it's like you don't know it's there, and then you're on, and then you're in, and you're connected, and I'm getting like 50 to 100 messages a day. I'm getting likes, I'm getting tags and things. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's go big or go home, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
In addition to working a full-time job or running your own business. So, like, how has finding that balance between work, family, social media, or whatever you want to call this, I mean, technically it's like influencer stuff. How have you found the balance between those three things, or are you still struggling to find that balance? You know, do you have any, like, I don't know, insight into that? Because I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there who are starting their Instagrams or just recently starting it and are growing and are expanding and are really going full force into it, but they're probably not realizing that they're lacking in other areas of their life.
Mark, what's your thoughts? Because you kind of been growing a little bit busier here recently, and your content's been getting a ton more interactions. So what are your thoughts?
It's hard. So when I started my page, I was just looking for another level of engagement with my job, because being residential frame for 12 years, same company for 10, it gets pretty stagnant, which is okay. And that's part of any job, right? Don't care what it is. It becomes routine. Mm-hmm. So it's meant to be for fun and just for kind of shits and giggles. And then all of a sudden, followers started coming and engaging with people started coming. It's like, oh, this is consuming. And then like compiling that on top of like this isolation that everyone's facing with the world events and stuff. It's like, oh, this is a sweet way for me to like maintain some interaction. Mm-hmm. And I got like fully consumed in it. Like there was a point just before I hit like 1,000 followers where my wife was like, okay, what are you doing and why are we doing this? Like really, because you're starting to lose. Like I was starting to just be focused completely on it at like the supper table, dealing with my kids all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it's something that her and I have worked on over the years, for her to like call out, because I kind of get obsessive and compulsive with some habits and like hobbies.
Yeah.
And so this started to become that. And she's like, stop, you got to take a look. And so,
I mean, too, like it's kind of addicting having those followers coming in. So it's hard to be like putting that away or putting that down when you have that like rush coming from it.
Yeah. There's an adrenaline rush. It's weird. Yeah. Like I never really believed like the social media addiction things. So I'm like, nobody ever talks with me. And then all of a sudden people started talking to me. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
it's a legit thing.
It's a real thing. All of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. I'm like full on addicted to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's interesting because like you, Mark, Andie, and myself, we're employees. We work for companies, right? Mm-hmm. We don't own the companies that we work for. Nope. I mean, Chris, you own your company. Yep. I'm assuming you kind of started your Instagram account to promote the business, to, you know, connect to other tradespeople or put your work out there for potential customers to see. And like, how has that evolved for you? And like, has it turned out to be what you thought it was going to be for? Because I see a lot of accounts out there that are business accounts, and all they're doing is showing their finished work, right, their before and afters. Whereas you're doing some really interesting like time-lapse video stuff that like I love as well. Like I do a lot of those. So where was it a conscious thought? Like I'm just going to start doing whatever I want, or was it like you started it for a business and then it kind of evolved?
I definitely think it for sure started as a business account, and we kind of just did it to show our work. And we thought, especially with the Facebook, like, to be honest, like, we ran our business like just referrals, word of mouth business for years and years. And then we kind of started a bit on social media, and Instagram was really just to promote ourselves. And as time went on, and within a short span, that went from, hey, posting, oh, it has to be posting about cool finished work, like you were saying. A lot of people focus on, this is my business, this is the good stuff, this is the product I want my clients to see. And for me, I guess probably decent middle of last year, I kind of had a point where I was just like, I'm tired of putting out photos that are just nice looking photos that don't really mean anything to anyone except for the one person who might see it, that may be a potential client in the millions of people out there, right? So I kind of shifted focus, and from, if you've seen our page, we put out a fair amount of content, like especially our stories, our posts throughout the day. And I want a lot of people to understand, even with this amount of content we put out, I don't spend too much time actually editing, focusing on making it look good. I'm more so just putting out what's real for us. This is our life. This is our job. This is what it's like to be a general contractor in our area. This is what it's like to run into problems, run into solutions, have to deal with clients, to deal with sort of anything that I see on a daily basis. A pretty diverse day. Like, we'll go from framing on one job site to dealing with tile, to dealing with flooring, to dealing with drywall. We have a pretty diverse schedule. And so kind of the content I like right now, and I feel that's kind of gotten us the engagement, is really been the real world stuff. So
that's great. That's so refreshing to see, like, kind of that real world stuff, like unedited, like you clearly are like putting out what you're doing, and it's nice to see that it's not super staged and planning out like super far in advance kind of what you're going to be posting about it, right?
Oh man, I'll probably make spelling mistakes, editing mistakes. I slap my stuff together so quickly. The video content stuff takes me minutes at a time. Stories, I just throw up whatever I want to, whatever I feel like. But I guess even to kind of going back to the topic of what we were talking before, is just the amount of time. I do spend a fair amount of time in a day overall. When you look at throughout the day on Instagram, it does take up, and you have to acknowledge that. And I guess even too, for me, I see the amount of time I spend right now, and especially to having a little one on the way, our first little one.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks. But as a soon-to-be dad, if I'm spending this much time working on my business, working in my business, and then producing content, I have a full day already. And
I mean, there's only so much time in a day.
Right? So if I can take the steps now to take that step back and realize, you know what, I need to spend less time and focus on the more important things in life, especially. So
now,
it's an interesting shift.
Now, talking about having a little one on the way, both of you, and Marcus having kids before, Evan and I are not parents. I
don't have any kids that I know of. No one's called or sent a certified letter requesting money.
No one will.
Nothing that I know of either. So, do you guys have any advice for any other like parents in the trades, or like one parent in the trade? Like, I know my husband's an electrician as well, but he's not into the Instagram like I am. So we're kind of safe on that one. But
wherever Mark is, Mr. Daddy-O.
It's not hard. Like, I don't know. Like, what I do is just kind of what I do. Like, I did it for a long time before I got onto the Instagram stuff. I guess, like, one thing that I like for my own kids, I don't want them to see that I would disparage them or any other individuals if they didn't do trade work,
right?
Which I can do at times, but I also don't want them to feel that they need to do something different than I do, right? That I'm only doing what I do so that they can do better. Well, I love what I do, and if my daughters or my boys love what I do, and want to do what I do, then all right, awesome, right? Like there's probably some trades that, from a standpoint of just like a protected father, I would maybe not encourage my daughters to go into.
Drywalling.
Yeah, drywalling. Well, I don't know. There's some good drywall ladies out there.
Yeah,
but
there are.
like there's, I don't know. There's some stigmas that are going around still. I mean, trades are cleaning up in a sense, but they still, by and large, majority, what you see on Instagram is not like always reflective of like the whole spectrum.
Well, yeah.
Wait, what?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know. Not everything's perfect. Not everything has like the perfect photo still. Or look at this tool that's like actually you're looking elsewhere, but whatever.
I mean, Instagram, social media in general is a
I don't think people do that, Mark.
No. Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, no,
People,
you're totally right.
I think the majority of people, if I may be so bold, they only post on social media or show on social media what they want people to see. It's a very filtered and edited version of who they are or their life.
Yeah.
I personally like when people are on, social media and they do that stuff, but they also say, "Hey, listen, I fucked up," or I'm struggling with this or that, which I was surprised to see when I came onto this Instagram community, that there was at least the beginnings or the rumblings or like low level conversations of, mental health in the trades and so on and so forth. You brought up the stigmas, it's funny. There's a guy on my job site right now who had a really bad accident and his arm is all messed up, like right here, right in the inside of his elbow. And people make comments like, "What happened, bro? Were you shooting up too much?" And the guy's never done heroin before. But then people look at me and they would never think for a hot second. At least that's what the majority of the feedback I've gotten. When they see me, they wouldn't associate me with somebody who's in recovery or someone who struggled with addiction.
They wouldn't make that snap 2-second judgment.
Right. Because I think the stigma in everyone's mind still in my mind to this day, after years and years in recovery and a lot of meeting a lot of different people who have also, struggled with addiction. I think most people, when they think of an alcoholic or a junkie, a drug addict, they think of a guy living on the streets, drinking out of a brown paper bag, homeless and disheveled. And it's like, I can't tell you how many guys I know in the trade who are actively active, in their addiction, and people don't know. How many police officers, judges, doctors, like CEOs of Fortune 500 companies that I personally know through recovery who were doing their job under the influence and then got clean while still working in it. I personally think that the trades are rampant still with drug and alcohol usage on the jobs, which is tough. How can you police that type of stuff? That's the only thing that I think I would ever be concerned with having, when I have kids, like, making the trades more of an option for them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Letting them know it's available. But at the same token, I'm a 32-year-old guy who never went to college, who fell into a trade and now owns my own home. I'm married. I have a car. I have 2 cars. Like, I have the life that I always dreamt of having. And I think that's partially, if not mostly, due to the trades. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't have a technical school when I was in high school. We didn't have shop class or anything like that. There was no exposure to it. Like, I think I caught on your live, I don't know if it was the last one or the one before. I think, Mark, you were talking about your dad.
Yeah.
And that he's in the trade or was in the trades to a point, and I'm sure you'll correct me on a lot of this, so forgive me. It made me start to think, like, my dad was never in the trades in the conventional sense. He worked on a railroad yard for 20 years, right up until the time I was born. And then he got out and went into sales. He's not the type of person I think you would call handy. Like, he's not the guy you would call to come help you fix stuff. He tries his best to do things, but I was never exposed to that,
Mm-hmm.
So when you just said, like, it's an option, but it's also there's other options out there for your kids. I mean, how has that experience been with like you and your father? Like, did he push you or did he guide you or mentor you in any way? I mean, same thing to you, Chris. I don't know your situation as well.
So for me, my dad had an accident just the year I was born, which broke his back. Couldn't feel from below his shins down in both of his legs. So he had to kind of give up doing construction because he was a Red Seal carpenter. He was doing his own general contracting business. But we grew up doing something totally different because he ended up doing like a market garden with bedding plants and field vegetables in the summer type stuff. So that's actually what I grew up doing. I never took shop class. I never was on any of the tools. I fell into this because I was trying to work for a year before I was going to go do graphic design in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
So I was going to go do graphic design, digital art stuff. Fell into this, started working, and then started dating my now wife, and was like, okay, well, I want to stay dating this girl, and I don't want to move away. And I'm starting to like what I'm doing, right? So this is what I'm going to decide to do.
Well, and it's hard, too, to give up kind of a paying job to be going back to school, in my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, Chris, how did you end up in the trades? Is it in your family? Or same kind of thing, kind of fell into it?
My family has definitely not been a trade family ever, really, except for my sister and brother and myself. We're pretty much like my dad's side is IT. My mom was into English and psychology, so nothing really even close to the trades.
That's actually wrong.
I'm definitely I'm actually the first person I believe in my family to build a house. Like,
oh, wow.
That's pretty cool. Me, I guess my brother and sister, they painted when we were younger, and that was kind of where I got my start, was painting and small renovation jobs, and that kind of led to bigger general contracting jobs, which is pretty much branched us. Like, we've touched a fair amount in our years. We deal with everything from utility services, groundwork, excavations, to building a full house from scratch. And even too, we touch a bit of commercial work as well too. So from where I started and where my family was to what I'm doing now is not even remotely close. But
that's awesome.
I guess for myself, even too, it kind of goes back to I did 3 years of business school, and business has always been in my blood. Like, I've helped with so many businesses in my years now, which has been just, I feel so fortunate to stay in that industry, the world, that kind of thing. But I went from thinking I was going to work in a nice office job, kind of like yourself with the sales and things like that, to making a decision that has seriously changed the course of my life. Yeah. And in a short amount of time, we've gone from not being anything close to construction to we're builders. Like, we build houses, and it's a cool feeling to kind of at least give my family a stepping stone. Like, kind of how you said, Mark, is if my daughter ends up being in construction, perfect, great. I'm happy for her, right? If not, it's her decision, right? Whatever is going to be best and whatever path they end up choosing, I'm going to support her no matter what. So I guess it's been really crazy for me, kind of, especially even with this Instagram world, kind of getting a little bit of like people saying great work, stuff like that. Like, it's stuff we've never heard before. And it's really cool to see that just you can make a wrong choice and still end up on the positive side of things, right?
Absolutely.
School wasn't my thing.
Yeah, I think too, even like through the Instagram, and you're saying your family hasn't really been trades oriented, but having you there, just that visibility kind of opens up that option. As like, I was the same way. I had nobody really, like, my dad was a handyman, but nobody really in the trades. So it was just never, it wasn't that it wasn't an option, but it wasn't ever presented as a viable option, I guess. Yeah. So it's nice that you have that kind of visibility for your daughters and your sons, and even on Instagram through your followers. Like, it's nice that you have that visual representation of being in the trades.
Absolutely. And I think this is a really good point to jump into, our segment that we do every episode. Just the tip.
Just the tip.
Okay.
Look at his smile.
Just
I've
the
been
tip.
so happy waiting for the reaction on that one.
I can't. I'm a corny mofo. So just the tip for those who are new to just the tip. It is a tip from our guests, or if we're doing an episode just me and Andie. This tip can be about the trades. It could be about tools. It could be about something very specific, right? Like the way you build something, to how you deal with stress and anxiety in your life and your work or your family. It could be whatever you want. So what is your tip for our listeners?
Chris, you're up first because I'm going to bail on you on that. You're up. Yeah, you get the shaft. More than just the tip.
Hey, Mark, you get to give one too.
Yeah, no, I know. I'm just giving Mike time to think and like
process right now.
Yeah. See, this is how we roll.
I guess so. My biggest tip is be real, and it kind of goes back to our content we're producing right now. Is everyone likes fancy photos, fancy stuff. Everyone wants to look pretty and good, but be real and own your shit. Like, make mistakes, own those mistakes, learn from those mistakes, and
don't try to make mistakes. That's bad. That's bad advice.
Wait, you're not supposed to try to make the mistake?
No, you're not.
Whoa.
Right?
I mean, they happen, but you don't like actively seek to do them. Anyways, this is Chris's tip. I'm sorry.
Talking about your kids here, a couple mistakes in there, right?
You want to have fighting words?
See, that's what happens when you throw fighting words there, bro.
Man.
Back to the topic at hand.
Just the tip.
Bust your ass back to a painter.
Right?
Ooh.
I know. I love the roller days. Be real.
Be real. I like that.
I like it.
That. What about you, Mark?
Long term. So think long term, especially in trades. Like, you start off, you have a long way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Think the long term through. For general, like for personalized, like general framing, it takes 4 years to have a real solid understanding of start to finish of building a house, to be confident in it. I can imagine it's the same as electrical, same as plumbing. That's why when you look at like even the schooling for it, it's 4-year segments, right?
Yeah.
Like there is something to it. Long term, and the grass is not always greener on the other side. So double tip.
Yeah.
Right.
Ooh.
No, I like that one. I like the long term.
DP.
Like, it's like even from a safety standpoint, like something that you can do in 2 seconds. Whereas if you are thinking long term, what could be happening? Like, just gonna bring it back a little more away from the.
Yeah, I mean that goes back to the conversation me and Andie had on the last episode. About the DIY hacks and tutorials and stuff. Like, there's, Andie had said, that one of her instructors said that people don't pay me to come and do the work for them. They pay me for my knowledge.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of expertise, craftsmanship, just base level, like know-howness on certain things that only come through experience and through time. And I think both of your tips kind of go together. That sounded weird.
I was like straight face letting that slide.
I know. But long term and being real go together for me, because for me, and I'll call myself out on this, as a younger man in the trades, feeling very insecure about myself, about my ability. That old saying, fake it till you make it, false confidence, got me in trouble a lot, made a lot of mistakes, burned a lot of bridges with people, trying to be one of the guys or trying to be a part of, and I'll call myself out on this as well, like not always knowing where the line is or having it in my.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean.
Yeah. Listen, I know I'm a hot mess sometimes, but
sometimes
but saying stuff like, I don't know, is for me something that has helped me in my longevity of, at some point in my career, I stopped pretending like I knew everything, or fronting like I knew everything and asking more questions and trying to take more in and look long term. Because for me, in Jersey, it's weird. We don't have the same certification laws and licensing laws that a lot of the other states in the US have. Okay. You can have an electrical contracting company and have one person have the license, and you can have a good amount of people working under that person who do not need to be licensed. It's not like other states, like when I lived in New England, where you had to be a registered apprentice with the state, be in school, and have a company kind of like union-wise, or even how you guys do it up in Canada. So here it's a very messy situation. So I wasn't thinking long term. I was just trying to make money because I was a young bro kid trying to like buy my next $1,000 car to get me to work, you know.
But you know what? That comes into the longevity as well. You got to do what you got to do, and to get you through, to get you to that next point, right?
I mean, I'm established, and I still look to buy my next $1,000 car to get me to work. So,
I mean, there's something to be said about like just working hard and like walking away at the end of the day, knowing that you did your best. You know, I think the similarity between the trades and Instagram is that instant gratification. Yeah. You know, I tried to go work in an office, Chris. Like I took that 1.5 years off. I went and worked in offices, and it was cool for a while. You know what I mean? The summers when it was hot, it was nice and cool inside. And the winters when it was cold, it was nice and warm inside. But I lost that instant gratification, that satisfaction of walking into some place in the morning, and by the time I walked out, stuff was different. I built things, or I rectified things, or I made things better. And I think that's going back to, I think, what you were talking about earlier, Mark, of like looking long term, looking at how I want to grow this page that I'm building. You know, what am I trying to do with it? Where am I trying to go with it? What's the
page and the podcast, right?
The page and the podcast, you know, trying to be mindful about what I put on my social media. Not to say like I'm trying to edit it myself to be the perfect version of myself, because I post plenty of shit that makes me look like an idiot or an a-hole. You know what I mean? But
I find it's that level of professionalism that, while that line kind of changes on Instagram from real life, I feel like there's still those standards that you kind of hold yourself to for what your content is and your community that you're presenting yourself to.
I think there's something in that. But even like the more you get sort of inundated with that Instagram mentality, if you want to show what's good, you need to be able to perform to show what's good, right?
Yeah.
So it starts to actually have a shape about what you're doing and how you're going about it. Is that eventually, like for Chris or even for myself or you guys as people who might look for a different electrical company to work for, that's the work that they're looking at. So, I mean, if they come scoping for you and then they see what you actually produce, it's not advantageous for you, right? Where if you're consistent, and even if you're showing the nitty gritty, and you know what, we all mess up, that happens, but we can fix it. And then this is what's fixed. This is how it goes. There's integrity to that. And I think there's value in that.
And I also find too, some of those posts where you're posting a screw up or how something went wrong or a learning experience for yourself, sometimes that kind of content generates the most conversation, gets you the most action on Instagram.
Yep.
Absolutely. And seeing some of the hackery on Instagram as well, just like people who put content on there, like proudly showing off what they did, and me being in the similar trade or maybe even not being in a similar trade and seeing them put this up there, like, this is how you build this, or this is how you do this, when they're not using the proper materials, or they're putting like untreated, non-pressure treated wood on, directly on cement, and like screwing that down, and like the long-term effects of that, it can be a real issue, especially when other people are watching that and going, oh, that's how you do that. That's how you build this, or that's how you do this. Like, I love the World of Electricians thing that they do every Friday, Fuckery Friday, right? Like you get to see some shit that people do, and it's like, hey, it was Friday, I had to get shit done to go home.
Yeah. Well, Well, it's like those YouTube videos too. I hear a lot from like just friends of mine that aren't in the trades, and they say, "Well, yeah, no, I've taught myself how to do this from YouTube," and I'm just sitting there like, "Oh."
But there's something to be said about that. There's something
But
to be said about that.
You need to be aware of what you're watching and
who you're watching.
Exactly.
Yes, and that's the issue.
Yeah.
Like everyone on Instagram or everyone on social media, you can create the version that you want people to see of you.
Right.
You know? And I applaud people who put out the deep stuff, the dirty stuff, along with, you know, the pretty, clean, pristine, finished product. You know,
Are you talking about my face right now?
I am talking about your face.
That's all.
Actually, no, I'm talking about Mark's beautiful maple syrup beard.
Oh, there it is.
It just like flows down my cheek and holds there. It doesn't do anything else. It's just starts going down the neck.
The Cheeto crumb catcher.
Yeah. I prefer crunchy Cheetos actually. So there is no mullet.
Thank gosh.
No.
What do you got going on over there, Chris?
Oh my God.
He pulled his hood
back. Oh my God. But there's something to be said about learning from other people's mistakes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know, there are some great accounts out there that show really good tutorials on how to do things. Can't say how many times I've been at work and like I'm doing something that I've never done before, like getting into low voltage lighting controls and like relays and like computer programming stuff. And I'm like YouTubing or Googling, like, how do I, you know, reboot this or how do I connect this? And it's difficult because there's so much information out there.
Right.
So I think it's really great that groupings of people like you two or like us four or other groups of people who have connected on Instagram who support each other and continue to help each other grow and promote whatever the thing that they're trying to do at that time. Those groups of people, we acknowledge and we recognize that I'm talking to a fellow tradesperson who's on my level, maybe not in the same trade, but like is in there day in and day out and knows what they're doing. And that's really cool.
I also think it goes to the networking. Like I myself have been approached by people looking to join the trade down in the States. I have no idea how, but I can set you up with somebody who will know about that. I can send you to a professional in that area. So
I've had that a couple times too. I had a guy from Ontario message me, be like, "Hey, are you guys hiring?" It's like, I'm not, but I know a ton of people who are, and go check out this one who's been trying to hire people for the last 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I've pointed a ton of people in directions of companies locally who guys who are like, hey, listen, I'm looking for work. Here's my experience level. And I reach out to the company that I know that's looking. I'm like, hey, here's this info. Reach out to them. You know, I think my biggest thing, and this is what we'll wrap up on with you guys, is this, community over competition. I love, I don't know if you guys know the account Lower 48, Chris.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's gonna maybe be on our podcast soon. Hint, hint, wink, wink. But he has this saying. I don't know if he created it, but he's put it out there a lot. The saying is
kind of champions it.
Yeah, he champions it. The saying is, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And through this pandemic, through just life in general, having this community to be able to connect with people like yourselves to get me through some of the tougher times, to give me something to look forward to, all the people who follow me that I'm like, why are people following me? I'm like,
we all think
who am I?
We're all asking
who am I? What am I doing? But it's been a really beautiful experience. I am very grateful that I have stumbled upon this community and stumbled upon meeting you three, to be able to say, like, I have genuine friendships with people I've never met.
Yeah.
Broski, you can go fuck yourself, but yeah, we're still friends.
Here I was about to wipe a tear and sing you the James Blunt song that you're beautiful.
So as we're wrapping up, is there anything that you guys want to throw out there to the IG community? Again, follow Chris on Instagram at Live Free Contracting and on FBook Live Free Contracting Ltd. Follow Mark with a C at Broski_builds.
Yes.
On Instagram. two great accounts. Is there anything you guys want to throw out there before we wrap up?
I think one thing, like, be mindful of the area that people are working, because people do things differently in different areas. Yes. And I think that's one thing that, like, I've been faced with a lot, because a couple of some posts have gotten better traction than I ever expected. And just the flack and just, like, the outright rage at times. It's like, pump your brakes, big rig, and look at where they're working and look at what's going on and say, hey, maybe there's a different way.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's just one thing that I know, like, a lot of us have said the same things, and it is one of those mindsets that I think is really good for us to have going into this.
Well,
always ask questions, but don't question people.
There's a nice way to phrase it as well. You know, like being polite and the good little Canadian that I am. Like,
and reading the caption.
Hey, don't you roll your eyes at me, Chris. I saw that.
How about you, Chris?
But I mean, like, yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Any final words?
Well.
Uh-oh.
Well, he hated
that's
that.
That's not really final words, but hey, cool. Awesome.
The old Irish exit.
Sorry. Going back to what we were talking before, be real. Like, people love honest people. People love to connect with real people. That's one of the biggest things I've learned with this Instagram community stuff is just have a normal conversation with people sometimes. Get to know them. Hang out. Say hi. Be supportive.
Mark doesn't want to get to know you.
Right? Like, there's so much hating going on out there, and, like, there's so much of that negativity out there in the world. Why not find somewhere that can help make you feel better a little bit? Like, that boosts you up, that pushes you to be a better person. Just be real. Have some fun with it and lighten up.
I like that.
And with that, I want to thank you both sincerely for taking some time out of your very busy lives to sit down with us and talk.
Thanks so much, guys.
And I think our new ending is be yourself, be yourself, be yourself. Bye.
Thank you two for having us.